I got the opportunity to hear him speak when I was back in Michigan, and he is just phenomenal about coaching from a transformational rather than a transactional approach. And that's what PE needs to be. It needs to be transformative as opposed to transactional. Where we're not looking at the numbers that a kid is putting up, how many push-ups they've done, or how many push-ups they didn't do, how fast they run the mile, how slow they run the mile. We're looking at, are they improving? What am I doing in the process to make this person not only more fit, but to make them a better individual? And, if I forget the exact quote from John Ehrman, but when he talked about how, actually it's Joe Ehrman, I'm sorry. John Ehrman was a guy that I taught with at Eastern Michigan University. Joe Ehrman actually played for the Baltimore Colts. I think it was the Colts. Yeah, it was in Baltimore, so it was the Colts. But I strongly encourage anybody to kind of Google that name, find his book, Joe Ehrman. But he talks about, people ask him, how the team is doing or how the team's looking. And he's like, ask me in 20 years, because it's more about what kind of man is he. He's coaching men. Same would apply for women in sport. But, what kind of man is this guy going to be 20 years from now? It's not a matter of, did he win a championship? Did he get a college scholarship? But what kind of husband is he going to be? What kind of employee is he going to be? What kind of father is he going to be? That's where sport and physical education is transformative, formative. It's shaping the individual, not just being focused on performance. And I think where we're making the mistakes in physical education is that we have shifted away from, yes, we're trying to not be transactional, but in the process of not being transactional, we're not being formative either. We're being more soft in terms of pushing individuals. And we have people that are not wanting or not understanding that failure is a part of life and it's a growth part of life. And it's a good thing that we fail, because if we're failing, that means we're trying something harder than what we are presently capable of doing. And if we keep trying it, we're going to become capable. And then eventually we start failing at something greater.
That's good. What's one take home you want listeners to sit with?
Just one take home. I think one is, the way we learn to move in childhood is going to echo through every stage in our life. So if we learn to move well as a child, even if we get in that stage where, like yourself in your 30s, you kind of fell away from exercising as much as you'd like, you can get back into it. We know the basic movements so that it's, we can relearn and redevelop ourselves if we get out of shape. If we want kids to age well, we have to teach kids and ourselves to enjoy movement, not just simply endure it. And I know I mentioned about hitting myself in the forehead with the 2x4, that might be perceived as an approach of enduring movement as opposed to enjoying movement. But what we need to understand is that to enjoy movement, it's not about enjoying it in the moment of doing the movement, because if we're trying to better ourselves, it should not be that enjoyable. We have to push ourselves a little bit beyond that which we are accustomed to in order to adapt. And so it might not be as enjoyable in the moment, and we need to endure that moment of exercise, but enjoy the product of that physical activity, that physical education. And I think probably the most important thing is it's never too late to start a new relationship with your body. If you had a bad experience in PE, deal with it. Recognize that Mr. Smith as a PE teacher really damaged you psychologically, but you know what? F Mr. Smith. I'm going to end up being more fit and more capable than he said I could be. So I'd say, in addition, just kind of revisit your PE memories. I've talked about dealing with Mr. Smith. What have you learned from that negative experience, and how can you reshape how you are living now in response to that? And